Friends, you are flipping awesome, and you have a unique contribution to bring to the world. And yet so many of you, us, we live accidentally. We get stuck, or we get lost, or we get overwhelmed, and we don't live out of purpose. We live accidentally. And so today I want to give you something. I want to gift you a blueprint. It's very simple, but if you follow it, I promise it will get you unstuck, and it will enable you to live according to your leadership purpose, your leadership vision, in a way that changes things. This is the Arable Leader Podcast. I'm Karl Martin, and we're exploring true, brave, kind, curious leadership, leading from your soul. There's a famous Carl Jung quote where he says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Now, he's talking about the fact that the things that you are unaware of control you, your life, your leadership life. But the things that you are aware of, the things that come to the surface, the things that you bring into the light, you have choices around. He's talking about living with intention. He's talking about the fact that all of us have this unconscious shadow in our lives that we live out of as much as the idealized ego that we present to everybody. And he's talking about bringing those things to the surface. I guess if we were to have the deepest of all conversations, we'd talk about identity. And yet that's a conversation that we'd have to wrestle over several episodes and would get very deep very, very quickly. I want to have a conversation with you around purpose, around what is the point of you? What is the point of me? Why do I exist? How do I show up? How am I going at this world? And I want to have that conversation because so many of my clients get stuck or get lost or get overtaken by the pressures of this world and this life, and they somehow lose the sense of going at the world. And so today's episode is an episode where you're going to need a pen and a piece of paper or a digital product that you can take notes on, because this stuff is going to be gold and it's going to help you. It's very simple, but it's going to significantly move some things in your life in order to help you lead in a better way. I want to attempt something that I do in the macro with organizations, and I want to do it in the personal, in the micro with an individual. I want to ask 5 questions. Why, where, how, who, and what. You might want to write those down. Why, where, how, who, and what. If you're following on with the show notes that are in the description, then you'll see a chart, a graph. If you're not, you're just listening to this, you need to understand a graph with an x-axis and a y-axis. The y-axis is about your strategy, your plan, and the x-axis is about your spirit or your essence. The first question I want you to write down is the word why. If you have ever heard, seen, or listened to Simon Sinek and his Golden Circle talk, or read his book, Start With Why, you'll understand what I'm getting at. Your why is the fulcrum or the filter for your leadership life. Why do you exist? What's the point of you? What is your yes that can then be defended by 1,000 no's? And in our model, in this blueprint, your why is found in the confluence between 3 conversations. The first conversation is, what is your dream? It's a conversation around meaning. It's what moves you. It's what gets you out of bed in the morning. It's what keeps you awake at night. It's often accessed by a complaint or a lack in the world. It's the thing that allows you to make a dent in the universe. It's something that could be even legacy leaving. What is my dream? What is my passion? The second conversation is a conversation about gift. What is my unique contribution to this world? What is my skill set that I can bring to the world to make that difference? And the way in which to access that conversation is, what do I do better than 100 people that I know? Now, some of you listening to this conversation will find that very easy to answer because I do this, I make these things happen, there's no problems, I'm brilliant at this. And others of you will find it super difficult because you've learned not to push yourself forward and not to say I do things better than other people. You might need to ask a friend. But here's the more forensic question. When I am in the room, what difference do I make? When I'm not in the room, what is missing within the room? What is there that was not there because I am there? The dream question, the gift question, and then the joy question. The joy question is a conversation that leads you to sustainability. I get filled up with these things. I find life in these things. These things just bring me a smile. It enables me to get through my days. And it is the coming together, almost the conflict between those three conversations that gets you to a yes or to a purpose, which becomes your unique contribution to this world. That's the why conversation. You are flipping awesome. How are you going to show up in a way that makes a difference in the world? So the second piece of work I want you to do is around where. Write it down, put it on a piece of paper. Where am I heading? In 1 year's time, what will be happening? What will I be enjoying? What will I be celebrating? This is a tangible conversation about something that is real. It's not just ethereal or out there. This is a conversation that is stretching you. This is a question that is realistic, but is beyond you. If it's not beyond you, if it's limited by your current capabilities, you need to stretch into it. One of my clients talks about the greatest imaginable challenge, or the GIC. They talk about 3 specific things that they are going after that they know is slightly beyond them at this moment in time, but attainable if they stretch. Another of my clients is constantly in a conversation with me around why they are not scared anymore. Why they're not fearful anymore, why they've got comfortable. So let's talk just for a moment about comfort and comfort zones. You do realize that you will not grow in your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is really helpful to rest and recover, but it's not helpful to grow. You grow in a disruption zone. You grow almost in a fear zone. You grow in what psychologists call liminal space or faith space. You grow when you're off balance, when you don't quite know, but you have a go. So what is your where? Now, the pathway between your why and your where is a journey of how, who, and what. How am I going to do it? Who am I going to do it with? And what am I ultimately going to do? Now write down the word how. Write it down. How is the spirit of you? It's the essence of you. It is what it feels like to be the other side of your plan and your agenda and your goal. How is how you leave people feeling not just about you, but about themselves when you have left the room. In fact, your brand is very rarely what your branding agency tells you it is. Your brand is the conversation that happens when you leave the room about you. Your brand is the overflow of your beliefs and your behaviors, of your values and your standards. It's what you die on a hill for and how you live that out. So, what do you believe about yourself, about life, about your contribution? And how do you behave in a way that evidences that belief to a world? What you celebrate, you propagate. The very things that you get excited about and that you reward will be the things that people think that are most important for you and the things that people copy and repeat. What you tolerate, you perpetuate. The behaviors that you allow and that you continue to allow will be the behaviors that continue and are repeated throughout your organization, throughout your team. What you articulate will be the story that is told about you and about your team and about your organization from this moment onwards. The story you tell is the story that is lived into. So be very careful about your language. Be very careful about your rules. Be very careful about your rituals. Be very careful about your habits and your rhythms, because that will be the brand that you carry into the world, the way in which you do things. What is your how? How are you going to show up? And now I want you to write down the word who. Who is vital, because leadership is people. It's a person before it's ever a process or a product. It's people. It's how you lead people. It's how you care for people. It's how you provoke and catalyze people. And there is no such thing as an individual. There is only team. There's no such thing as a sole trader. There's a team. There's an accountant, and there's a manager, and there's a coach, and there's a parent, and there's no such thing as an individual sports man or woman. There is only a team. They have a caddy, they have a coach, they have a manager, they have supporters. There is team. Everything gets worked out in relationships. So who is your who? Who are going to be the people that are going to enable you to get your purpose, your why, to your where, to your vision, to your outcome? It gets walked by people. Who's going to be there to complete you, to complement you, to even conflict with you, but not compete with you? I have spoken in the past and will continue to do so about 3 people that you need in your life, or 3 kinds of people that you need in your life. You need someone to sit at the feet of, someone who's walked further than you, who knows more than you. You need people to look in the eye of, people who will wrestle with you, people who will love you, people who will be your friends and call you out when you're talking nonsense. And you need people who you pour yourself into, that you're growing and developing. Otherwise, you become intellectually and entrepreneurially obese. So pause for a moment. Who are those people? And please don't rush to the lazy conversation about succession. I'm over it. I'm done with the times that I get invited in to solve a succession problem. The moment we've got a succession problem, we're very late in the game. I would much rather have a conversation about an apprenticeship culture than a succession problem. You see, if you're developing an apprenticeship culture, if you're developing the who, if you're walking with the who from your why to your where, then you're raising the sea level and you don't have a succession problem. You have a bench and you have a succession choice. Who is your who? You need to write down some names if you're going to walk the walk. Now I want you to write down the word what. It is very intentional that the word what is the last word on the list for me. It would very easily be the first word on the list, because it's the conversation that people want to have with me. What am I going to do about this? What shall we do as an organization? What shall we do to fix the problem? And my response to that is usually I want to answer the first questions first and this question last. Because if I answer this question, we circumnavigate the real questions, the real problems, the real issues in your organization. And yet we have to get to the what. What are we going to do? What are we going to do that is practical, granular, tangible, measurable, step-by-step processes? If my why is my purpose statement, and my where is my visionary target, and my how is now clear, and my who has become very obvious, now is the time to ask, what are we going to do? What are our goals? Are they specific and measurable and time bound? What are my goals and my roles and my processes? What's my 30, 60, 90 day check-in goals? What are my OKRs? What are my objectives and my key results? To whom am I accountable for these things? Otherwise, I can't move the chains. I can't move the ball down the field. I can't take my purpose, my why, and get it to my vision, my where with my people in a way that is culturally helpful and healthy. Why? Where? How? Who? And what? Take the show notes, draw a diagram, answer the questions, and begin to live your leadership life on purpose, not accidentally. Begin to show up in a way that's highly intentional around the things that you have in your hand and in your mind and in your heart to do. And then you will make the kind of dent in your world that you want to make. I want you to live on purpose. I don't want you to live accidentally.
You've been watching The Arable Leader with Karl Martin. Subscribe for more episodes with great leaders. And you can also listen to The Arable Leader wherever you get your podcasts. For more resources for leading in a healthy way, visit arableco.com and check out Karl's new book, The Cave, the Road, the Table, and the Fire.